Hi folks, it's Andy. Welcome to this week's Kendo Rant. Okay, we've got plenty of questions for you today. We'll get right into them in just a moment. But before we do, don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Look, I know I say that every time. I know it's the standard YouTube stuff, but this is actually quite important. It's more important than those other YouTubers that just want people to subscribe to them. To be honest, you can subscribe or not. It's up to you. You can like or not. It's up to you. You can share or not. It's up to you. But what I want you to know is every week, I'd say, somebody messages me, post comments in these questions saying that they started Kendo because they saw these videos. So that means that if you help these videos, not necessarily Kendo Rant, but especially like the instructional videos, 0 to Shodan, stuff like that, if you share them around, YouTube likes it, shows them to more people find out about Kendo, and we make Kendo more popular. So, you know, everyone's a winner. Speaking of situations where everyone's a winner, shop at KendoStar because it's awesome. It's my company, so I feed my kids. You get amazing, fantastic Kendo equipment, and all the lights stay on, the camera keeps rolling, all my staff are happy, everyone's happy. So yeah, shop at KendoStar. Okay, let's get into this. This is going to be probably the second to last Kendo Rant of the year. Probably next week is Christmas Eve, but I think I'll do a Kendo Rant anyway. So make sure you tune in, but I probably won't do one on the 31st. We'll see. Okay, let's get into this. So first one, this one came to me by email. I've come back to Kendo after a 10-year break. I left it as first queue. I'm about to turn 50 and I'm a big guy, 192 at around 95 kilos. Okay, so you're tall, but you're not like fat. Although my instructor says that my striking speed is quite good, I'm finding myself not to be fast enough on my feet. I'd say my strike launching is okay, but the finishing is not as good as desired. For example, I feel my performance could improve greatly during Kihon, passing through after a men or kote strike. Also, when doing 30-second Uchikomi Geiko, I can barely make it to the end decently, which is quite frustrating as my attitude is strong, but my body can't keep up. I've noticed that the more I get tired, the more tense my arms get, and this becomes a vicious circle. As the harder I try, the more exhausting it gets. I'm well aware I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I'd like to ask for advice on how to address the issue in order to improve my Kendo. Thanks a lot, and once more, thank you for your incredible channel. No, thank you for watching. So, look, it's mainly, and this isn't the answer you want, it's the answer nobody wants, but it's mainly about practice. Yeah, of course, age affects us all, and we have to understand our limits at our obvious, point of life, as well. But in terms of your being fast enough on your feet, what you'll probably find is either there's obviously some sort of issue with how you've got your feet in your kamae. So either they're too far apart, or the left heel's too high, and you're not pushing off your left leg properly, okay? And after pushing off your left leg, you're not snapping up the left foot quickly enough to push you on for your next steps, all right? This can be fixed in suburi, okay? In your suburi. Even though it's not fumikomi, if you do your one forward, one back men suburi, and make sure that you bring your left foot up really quickly when you go forward, and move your right foot back with your left as soon as you move them. So they're almost together. It's not 1, 2, but it's 1. If you focus on this, that will kind of bring itself through into your fumikomi and when you actually do your striking practice. Okay, so there's definitely that. And about the 30-second Uchikomi, yeah, it's tough. It's tough, which is great. Just keep pushing at it, all right? But don't push beyond what you're capable of, and don't obviously put yourself in a dangerous situation. But you just have to keep doing it. It takes like thousands of repetitions. Okay, so it will get better. It will, I'm sure. But just stick with it. Okay, and keep up the good work. Next one. Good day, Fish Sensei. Today I'll be joining a kendo practice that's been announced as a Godo Geiko. I've tried to find out on Google what this means, and I've only been able to find out that Godo translates to 5 degrees. Could you be so kind as to explain the meaning? Thanks to your good channel. Yeah, so the problem with Japanese, it's full of words that sound really similar, homophones. This one isn't quite that, but it is similar when you write it in English. It's different when you write it in Japanese. It's different kanji. 5 degrees. This door is angle, so like in go is 5, as we know from doing, you know, kendo. So yeah, that's why that comes out. But basically, let's see if I can type some kanji up on here. The Godo from Godo Geiko is this one. Okay. It's not like this. So yeah. It's written, if you understand any Japanese, it's got the little u hiragana. It's not little, it's the u hiragana after each of them, and that brings up this kanji. There's obviously other reasons for it as well, but basically godo means like meet together. Okay, so it's a godo geiko is a keiko or practice where everybody comes together. Okay. So this one, this is a comment from a video from a couple of weeks ago, and I picked it out because I think it's a really easily misunderstood point. And this is from a video a couple of weeks ago when we talked about big strikes in gradings, and I said about how the big strikes that we use, especially in uchikomi, they're not really designed to be strikes that are for use in like shiai or keiko or the kind of realistic strike. It's not for the it's not the jisen tekina waza. It's the practice waza. It's a bit like suburi. And a lot of people can't seem to get their head around that, and they really want to use these big massive swings, which is not what they're actually for. So and I'm talking about when you swing the shinai right over your head like this, man, you don't hit like that in your jigeiko. And you don't need to do it like that in your gradings. It's definitely a sort of misunderstanding to think that you have to do that. So this question on that video is where I explain that. It says, if you aren't learning the waza to also use them during keiko, then why learn them? It makes no sense. Sure, philosophy is important, but a shinai is still a sword. So there's two things there. Is first off, all right, so what about joge suburi? Naname suburi. Do you use those in your keiko? I don't think so. You shouldn't be doing. What about something like koshiwari suburi? What about that one? Or haya suburi? Do you do that in your keiko? No, because these are practice methods that are designed just like kirikaishi, for example, to improve your technical ability. They're not designed for actual striking work. It's nothing to do with philosophy. It's to do with practicality. It makes perfect sense. And a shinai is not a sword. A shinai is a shinai. A shinai is not a replacement for a Japanese sword, as the All Japan Kendo Federation have clearly pointed out for us in this book, which I'll be referencing to again later on. But it literally says in this book that where is it? Although it's probably not appropriate to compare the two, it's not necessary to suppose that we are using the shinai in place of the nihonto. Nihonto is a Japanese sword in kendo, but it should be treated with the same respect and in accordance with the same ideals. It literally says in black and white here, you're not supposed to use the shinai in the same way you would use a real sword. It says that in black and white from the All Japan Kendo Federation, right? So it's not me that's saying that, it's them that's saying that, and they're in charge. So yeah, The Shinai is not the same as a sword. You don't use the Shinai the same as a sword. You don't hit with the it's called datotsu, which means strikes and thrusts. It doesn't say cuts. We hardly use the term cut in Kendo, actually. And that's why we use the bokuto in the kata differently to the way that we use the Shinai. I know that's controversial for a lot of people because they want to pretend that they're learning about dueling with swords or how to become a samurai, but that isn't what Kendo is, so sorry to burst your bubble on that one. Next one. Hi, Andy. First off, happy holidays to you and your family, like always. Thank you for amazing videos and content. It's what I love to wake up and watch every morning. Thank you very much. My question is, this time is, is there certain workouts you can recommend to help with Kendo other than practicing my footwork and working with my Shinai, which, P.S. I love, from KendoStar, because I do a lot of workouts with dumbbells and workout bands, and I wear my 40-pound, 18-kilogram weight vest when doing all my recommendations to build up strength in my arms and legs, so when I eventually make it into the dojo. Thank you again, and have a fantastic day. So, the best thing you can do for your Kendo outside of the dojo is suburi and mitori geiko. But having said that, you know, it's not all that. I use a gym as well to kind of keep myself in shape for Kendo. And two of the best weight exercises I do. Now I'm not a professional. All right, these are weight exercises that I I looked up as ones to work on specific areas of my body that I thought would be important. First is using short dumbbells, wrist curls. Okay, so just curling the wrist. So this will work your forearm muscles. These are really important for doing a proper tenuichi. And the second is with the same dumbbells, you can just hold them and you can do calf raises. They're the best ones, I think, mainly for Kendo. Okay. Next one. Hi, Fish Sensei. Thank you for the wonderful videos. Thank you for watching them. English Kendo content is hard to come by, and I really appreciate it. Well, hopefully it's getting less hard to come by. That's my mission. In my attempt to understand what constitutes an ippon, I struggle with debana waza. On YouTube, I need to play them at half or even quarter speed to see who wins the point. As Shimpan, are there any tips you could give to better identify who strikes first? Should we rely on sound, or is there something else we should focus on to better identify who wins the ippon? Thanks. Great question. So, when two people do the debana men, or the ai men, it's not really ai men, but when two people hit at the same time, how do you identify which one strikes first and is given the point? You ready for your mind to be blown? So this is as big as the Shinai is not a sword. This is as big as that for mind blowingness. All right. You ready? It doesn't matter who hits first. It doesn't matter who hits first. That isn't what they're judging. Now, 99 times out of 100, the one that they judge to be the Yuko Datotsu also hits first, because by virtue of the fact that their men is a better strike, it usually is makes contact before the other person's does. Sometimes it doesn't, but most of the time it does. That isn't what they're looking for. You can't see it a lot of the time, especially at extremely high levels. You cannot see which one hits first. You just can't do that. Instead, what they're looking at is the whole picture. What's happening beforehand, all right? When you have enough experience, and it's not just the experience of doing Shimpan, you have to have this experience of doing Keiko, all right? So you also need to have lots of practice under your belt. And that's why you can't just do Shimpan, all right? You need to be able to understand how debana waza works. You will see beforehand which of the competitors took what's known as the sen, the initiative. Took the sen. They pressed the go button on the situation, and you can see that, and that's what helps you judge the whole. You take into the whole picture into consideration, from the start through to the actual strike, through to the obviously what happens afterwards as well. So yeah, that's how we do it. We don't have sort of super. I mean, of course, as well, with experience, your eyes get sharper to it as also. But it's not really, like I say, we're not saying, okay, they hit first. It's not really about that. It's about who did the better datotsu, the better strike. Okay? Hope that makes sense. Right, next one. Happy holidays. I'm just in time to watch a new video. Can you talk about the key points you look for in do zanshin? And more importantly, as a shimpan, what would cause you to raise or lower a flag thereof? Okay, that's a good point. The video you're talking about is the one that we just released today on YouTube. So if you haven't seen that, how to improve your door strikes, go and watch it. I'll talk about actual door striking. I don't really talk much about zanshin, to be fair. I have talked about that in the video I've done about zanshin, though. So look, what do I look for in the door zanshin? I mean, I look for pretty much the awareness of the opponent, making sure that they, you know, get some sort of distance between them and the opponent. Try to minimize the time that they've got their back facing the opponent, but of course there is a short time when you make a door strike, because of the way the mechanics of the Waza work. In terms of, I mean, what the thing about door, right, is the real linchpin of whether do is ippon or not. It's not the zanshin. You know, it's, you know, one thing that kind of grinds my gears a little bit is when shimpan talk about, I didn't give that point because I didn't like the zanshin. It's like, well, it's like, that's not really fair. Right? You know, because, you know, you might not like it, you might think it's ugly, but what the real linchpin of what any ippon is, but especially with do, is the opportunity. Was it made at a fantastic opportunity? Just when the opponent's feet were planted and they were blocking, bam, do. Okay, that's do ippon. Or was it when the opponent got the opponent to come and strike men so they could do this brilliant nuki-do? Oh, but they took their left hand off after they struck. So, you know, even though that was such a brilliant textbook nuki-do in terms of opportunity and quality of strike, right after it, they took the hand off the Shinai. So, yeah, it's not ippon. That's nonsense. That's not how you judge the do ippon, okay? It's really like 90% opportunity and strike quality. And, you know, obviously if they don't even bother to do anything in terms of way of zanshin, then you can be like, well, wasn't really right, was it? But, you know, I don't think it's right when shimpan get overly zealous with their own interpretation of what aesthetically pleasing zanshin looks like. Yeah, it's not great when you see a little kid that's like going, man, door, like this. It's not great, but look, if they smash that door at a fantastic time, just as the opponent was coming to hit men, you can't take that point away from them. It's not right to do that. All right. So yeah. Like I say, it's more about opportunity and strike quality. All right. So you can't just go bash like this with one hand. Doesn't mean you can hit with one hand. That's strike quality, right? But when you're talking about zanshin, you know, most people do door strikes with adequate zanshin, all right, if you get the first parts right. If that makes sense. Next one. How do you determine what is your isoku itto no maai? We're always told to attack from that distance, but it seems like it's a personal thing. Since my reach and length of Fumikomi will be different from someone else's, I've never really been taught how to find it reliably. Thank you for taking the time again. Okay, so yeah, you're absolutely correct. Isoku itto no maai is personal. It's individual. It's not the same for everybody, okay? It's the distance that you can reach with one strike to reliably strike the target and reach the criteria of Yuko Datotsu, okay? You have to figure that out through your own practice, okay? What you can do is you can, when you're doing your menuchi practice, for example, okay, start from a distance that you know you can definitely, confidently reach. Okay, try. Bam. Okay, yes, I was correct. I can confidently strike the men from that distance. Okay, can I do it from 1 centimeter further away? Let's try. Okay, yes, I can still do. Okay, so maybe my isoku is a bit further away than I thought. Okay, next time we'll try another centimeter back. Okay, let's try. Bam. Oh, I still hit. Okay, well, so now I'm actually 2 centimeters further away than I thought. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, now that one makes me break my posture to try and reach the target. It's not quite right. Okay, so I'm not quite there yet. So it's somewhere in between. And then you can sort of study throughout your kendo practice. Keep repeating to figure out what the best distance for you is. Yeah. And you know, it's good practice to try and train yourself to make that isokuito as let's say flexible as possible. They often say try to hit from as far away as possible, but I don't fully subscribe to that. It's really situational. Like if you're against somebody that's really good at like men kaishido or men nukido, you don't want to jump in from miles away because you're just going to give them the room to hit you. All right, so you have to figure out for each person as well what the appropriate striking distance is. But if you're able to strike from both closer distances and from further away distances, then you're going to have more tools to work with, right? So yeah. It's a case of individual study, but I think that's a good way of doing it. Hello Andy, as a new Kendoka, I really appreciate and enjoy your videos. Would it be possible for you and your wife to make a video on the difference between the male and female way to place, especially the Hakama, right? I've seen your video, but it would be very helpful for me to have a female Kendoka to copy. Thank you so much. I think that's a fantastic idea. I do. I think it's a really wonderful idea. I'll need to speak to Miyuki about it. See if she's up for doing that. She's a little bit camera shy. That's why I managed to get her in a lot of the videos. And usually she always wants to keep her men on. And I managed to get her in a talking video just once. But yeah, she's a little bit camera shy. She's super busy here at KendoStar as well. She's got a team of staff to look after too, so she's pretty busy. But I'll talk to her and we'll see if we can sort that out. All right, because I do think that's a great idea. Okay, hi Andy. Most of us typically buy 3 Shinai at a time. Should we oil or apply other treatment to the ones we won't be using for a while, or do they come pre-oiled? Should we keep them in their plastic bag? Cheers and thanks for your involvement in the global Kendo community, Charles. Okay, so basically, right. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can, yeah, just pick one out. We obviously everything's oiled before it's sent out, like from our workshop, but we don't oil them before we send them out from here. All right, because it's not really practical for us to do that. Okay, so that's why we do recommend you do that when you get them. Okay, what I would say is this, like I say, there's a couple of different ways of doing it. For some people, they just pick one out, they put the other 2 in sort of storage, and then just go ahead with using a single one until it breaks and then swap to another one. And obviously, yeah, oil all 3 of them, put 2 in storage and then do it that way. Or the other way you can do is, prepare all 3 of them and then rotate between them. That's probably the way I would do it. And then I guess it's as broad as it's long. I guess there's not much of a difference really. But yeah, I mean, what you can do is give them an oil when you get them, and then yeah, keep them in the plastic bag and keep them somewhere that's not too dry, but make sure before you start using them again you give them another oil, another check. Another good thing to do as well is when you get new Shinai in, especially if you bought them from, like, if you live overseas from where we are, so we're in the UK, so if we send them over to you on an airplane to a different country or different climate, a great thing to do is to just get them and just keep them in the climate of where you live for maybe a week or 2 before you start using them, just to let them kind of adjust, and then oil them at that point is a great way to do it. All right, that's just it's an idea. It works for some, not for everybody. Okay, so yeah, I hope that sort of helps. Okay, next one. Hi Andy, hopefully I made it in time for this edition. What's the difference between the Victory bogu set and the Kaiser? Right now the Kaiser is on discount, which makes it really attractive. Yeah, basically the Kaiser, it's on its kind of swan song right now. It's been discontinued at the end of the year. Part of the reason is, as you mentioned, actually, because it doesn't quite fit into our lineup the same way as it used to when it first sort of came out. Now we've got the Praetor, which kind of is quite similar to it. So it's a fantastic set. It really is brilliant. basically, in terms of the difference between that and the victory, victory's more of like the victory's a great set if you want a sort of modern, sleek-looking bogu set, whereas the Kaiser is a little bit more traditional, a little bit more classic. Kaiser features full deer skin reinforcements, though, so it's got really great materials. It's a really great set, especially at the minute. So yeah, it's a great bargain. It's really, you know, victory is more, like I say, it's a bit more of a sort of modern look. It's got like a full orizashi futon. It's got that kind of you can choose the different colours on it. It's got that kind of matte mune on it. So it's really an aesthetic difference mainly. And the materials, to be fair, the materials on the Kaiser are a bit higher graded as well. So yeah, if you're in the market right now, Kaiser is a fantastic one to pick up. I'd probably advise you to go for that with the deal that we've got on it over the victory at the minute. Get it while you can, because it's going soon. Next one. So a friend and I had a nice long conversation last night on the categorization of debana waza as Shikake waza or Ouji waza. I think on paper what is listed as Shikake waza, but it kind of behaves more like an Ouji waza. I argued that debana is initiated by the attacker though. Through seme, and that is why it's considered Shikake. He counter-argued that all Ouji waza are also technically initiated by the person doing the waza, which I agree with. But now I have a conundrum where I feel like all waza are Shikake waza, but I must have a misunderstanding of Shikake waza being initiated by the attacker and Ouji being reactive. Can you perhaps expand on the subject? I thought perhaps the categorization depends on the receiver's timing. Pre-reaction, Shikake, post-reaction, Ouji. Perhaps since debana does not fit neatly in one box or the other, somebody of authority just had to choose. Anyway, hope this sparks some good discussion. Okay, so yeah, it's back. The book's back. We sell this on KendoStar, by the way. If you don't have it, you should buy it. It's really, really good. Okay, so you are correct. Sorry, it's here. Shikake waza, initiating attacks, Shikake waza. There's a list of them. All of the Shikake waza are listed here. Okay, I think there's a couple on the next page. Yeah, there's some on the next page too. Yeah. Number 5, debana waza. Yeah, there it is. See that? Number 5. Debana men, debana kote, debana tsuki. I'm not sure about debana tsuki, but so yeah, it's Shikake waza. Why is it Shikake waza, not Ouji waza? Because you are indeed correct that both are initiated by your own seme. Okay, you get the opponent to hit, and then you hit them at the moment they decide to, but you actually hit them. It's a bit different, all right? It's Ouji waza. Ouji means, it does mean to sort of react to, but it means like, so your Ouji waza is dealing with your opponent's strike. Okay, so it's dealing with the opponent's strike and making a counter strike. Okay, so you usually block and strike, or you evade and strike. Okay, that's why it's Ouji waza, all right, because it's dealing with their strike. Debana waza is different because they haven't made the strike yet when you already initiate your attack. Okay, so you're not you strike before their strike happens. And in practice, of course, it's usually that when you begin your debana waza, they also begin their strike as a reaction to you. So you usually strike them sort of mid-strike, but it's not as a reaction to their attack. And it's not that with Ouji waza you're just waiting for them to attack and then you react. It's not that. You have to elicit that strike from them in the first place in order to react to it. You have to. So the setup is very similar, but that's the reason why debana waza is a Shikake waza, not an Ouji waza, because it doesn't. The other person's strike is almost irrelevant. If they attack or don't, you still hit them. Whereas with, let's say, men kaishido, if they bail out of the strike, your kaishido doesn't work. So yeah, that's the difference. Okay. Okay, last one. Okay, here we are. Question for a friend. Oh yeah. Are Sonkyo wedges normal, or is it just a me thing? A him thing? Definitely asking for a friend. Lol. Well, I don't know. But a friend of mine told me that they'd also experienced them. So I guess they are normal for our friends. Okay. So yeah. Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, I told you the importance of liking, sharing, and subscribing. I told you the importance of shopping at KendoStar. Join the Kendo Show Early Access group. There's a link in the description. Have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you on Christmas Eve. Bye-bye.